Hey everybody, welcome to Recovery Talk with Oscar the First. I am Oscar the First. It is good to be with you today. I wanted to talk today a little bit about step two. And step two is the one that says, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And I remember the first time I saw that, I thought, yeah, there's some little bit of insanity going on. Because I just, for me, it was knowing what the right thing to do was, but I kept doing the wrong thing. And insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And so for me, that was that, oh, I can just have one or two, you know, that I could control my drinking, that somehow, right, that this time was going to be different. Um, and as far as a power greater than ourselves, to me, that's God. And it's always been God. But when I thought about God, I thought, I was just ashamed of myself, because growing up, God was present in my house. My parents did pray. We were baptized, raised Catholic, my grandmother, my mother, my father, my aunts, uncles. So God was very much present. So when I thought about God, and at one point, very briefly, I was an altar boy at one of the churches, and you know, um, I knew, right, but I felt ashamed of myself. I felt like, Oscar, you should know better. You went to Sunday school, and so that's what the insanity part was for me. Was that I knew what the right thing to do was, and but also it was more like came to believe that this program could restore the sanity, could restore my life somewhat, could stop the bleeding, so to speak, so I can get a whole control of this thing. Because again, the insanity is thinking that this time I was going to be able to have two or three drinks, and I would be able to you know go home at a decent hour, like everybody else would, like every other responsible husband or father would do. But yet, no, I chose to do the wrong thing each and every time. And even after years of divorces and lost jobs and DUIs, just it you still think that you could figure it out, that you could get it under control, and it's just a matter of just getting through those consequences. And it's always everything and everybody but the drinking and the drugging, because drinking and drugging is like what's on the menu. It's the appetizer. It's This is what we do, we drink. And the ego says, oh well, what do you mean? I can't drink like the guys. I want to be like the guys. We all have drinks. We do shots, and I don't want to be the guy left out. I mean, nah, dude, not for me, bro. I'm just one of those people. Once I start, I cannot stop. And so coming to those realizations, accepting that, and dealing with the consequences, and that's really what these steps do, is kind of walk you through all of that so that you can deal with it once and for all, and let go of it and let God. Because I truly believe that God took this compulsion away. I mean, there's no other logical explanation, dude. I was not a dude that was not going to party. If anything, I led the party. Okay. I'm the guy that makes a dance floor where there isn't a dance floor. I'm the guy that gets on the stage when you're not supposed to be on stage. So, I would boo you if you left the bar early, right? I'd force you to have a shot, right? What do you mean? Come on. So, uh, yeah, that just, it wasn't going to, I wasn't going to be one of those guys. To me, if you didn't drink and do drugs, you're either a cop or you're just, you're religious, whatever. But I thought as long as I got up and went to work and the bills are paid and the this and the that and the that, like in my mind, but no, no, it was hurting me, it was hurting my family, my kids, and it's it's hard. It's for them to watch what you're doing to yourself, and them not being able to say or do anything that's going to make you stop. So, unfortunately, we learn through pain, or at least I do. And we all have our different bottoms, um, but and some are higher than others. But I just thank God that I got help when I got it, and you know, um, I did. It took me alcohol and drugs took me to a really dark place, and it wasn't until I got there that then I finally, I reached up and through these 12 steps, I walked up these steps and grabbed God's hand finally, and He was there all along. And so today it's about putting God first, staying strong with my spiritual side, uh, which for me clears up a lot of the mental side and gets me focused on the physical side in terms of, trying to keep myself physically fit. Uh, because, I'm really now thinking about trying, you know, trying to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. And as you saw recently, in like in the episode that I posted about quitting smoking, that's part of it. Continuing to break those chains, and that was a very, very hard one. But through this channel, I started it because I felt God was telling me that somebody needed to hear my story. That there's a dad or a granddad, an uncle, a cousin, somebody out there, a friend, somebody you know, needs to hear that, hey, man, if you're trying to live this double life of drinking, drugging, and keeping it all going, and, yeah, man, trust me, I wanted to blame everything and, everybody for my problems other than myself because the quitting of the drinking was not even an option. Man, I did it, man. I did it. And again, page 23 of the big book talks about alcoholism is like having a headache and hitting yourself over the head with a hammer. And that was me because all my problems were all self induced. Nobody forced alcohol down my throat. Nobody. So, I had to get honest with myself, which led to me being honest with others, which led to, being free of this addiction, man. And I keep working it every day to stay free. And it's only by the grace of God that I could sit here and share it with you. But yeah, and then by starting this channel, that led to like I'm doing this channel and yet I'm still smoking cigarettes. So that's and then in combination with becoming a grandfather this past summer, like it's time to let it go. And it's time and so and so every day I fought the cravings and I but I did the work and every day I do the work and now nicotine is part of my recovery. That was the very first addiction, was the nicotine, you know and so now my body's going through a reset. It's going through my brain is going through a rewiring because it's trying to figure out where you're going to get dopamine from, you know and so there's been some increase in eating. so, so, so I've gained a couple of pounds, but you see me trying to walk them off. But yeah, and so I think I'm at 90 days. I think by my fourth month, the eating starts to kind of get control a little bit. Uh, but yeah, initially it was, and but anyway, I wanted to just come on and share a little bit about step two. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Yes, I needed a higher power. I needed something to help me, man. I walked in. Yes, I admitted, like, man, I can't handle this, And step one was just kind of just admitting it and, letting God take over, And I kept my mouth shut. I kept going to meetings and just listening and listening because that's what they said, man. This may not be for you. This ain't for everybody. In terms of the meetings and the working the steps with the sponsor, who really is kind of your guide through this. It worked for me, man. I'm looking at 8 years in May, and as you see, I do and go everywhere and I feel like I have a better time than everybody else because I ain't spending all that money on alcohol and leaving the party to go cop something, or worried about what I got on me. I'm dirty, having to, give my lady my stash, I don't have to worry about that no more. I don't have to look behind my back. Oh, the cops coming. None of that. It's gone. I was using alcohol to cope with the stress of the problems that come from drinking. you know, so now I no man no. So again, I'm not anti-drinking. I'm not anti-partying. Man, a lot of people do. They have a couple of drinks. They have a good time responsibly, and it doesn't lead to divorces and DUIs and loss of jobs and sometimes problems with the law. Um, but man, I have seen where this disease will take some people, dude. you know. My bottom was a relatively high bottom, so to speak, but I've seen some people, man, out, living in these woods in Florida where it's like tent cities back there, and you're driving on I-4 and on all these highways on the way to Disney and SeaWorld and Universal, and in those woods there's people living in there. And so when you think about the hot summers with the bugs and that's where this disease will take you. That's where addiction takes you to. And they're sick. They're sick. I'm sick. The problem is it's not like it's not like the chicken pox where you could the or the measles where you could see it and people go, oh man, you're sick. Oh, or if you got diabetes, or if you got something that, when you tell people, oh, yeah, I got diabetes, they go, oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that, and are you taking your medicine? And, they're supportive. But when you tell somebody you're an alcoholic, they just think, oh, dude, you can't handle your drinking. You know what I mean? It's a moral failure, and yet it's poison, and we're constantly promoting it. People think that they need it to do everything. Man, I need a drink and I gotta go talk to this girl and blah blah blah, liquid courage. And you know what? I talk to women without a problem. I dance. I mean, literally, dude, I have such a blast. People must think that I'm drinking and drugging because I'm having such a good time. So that whole thing it's bullshit. It's fear. Oh, I need a couple of drinks to relax, I don't, you know. I thought I did. I convinced myself that I did, but I really don't. I really didn't. I didn't need to spend $250,000 drinking and drugging to come to the realization that I didn't need it. But that's what happens. That's what we do. We think we need it. And so for me, it's poison, dude. For me, it's a really bad allergic reaction that makes me not care about anything or anyone but me and what I want when I want it. And I hurt a lot of people in that process. So for me, there ain't no going back to that. So my hope and my goal here is to share my story with you, that maybe you could share with somebody else that may be struggling, that could know that, man, freedom is possible, recovery is possible, and it's fun, and you can still do everything. It doesn't, if anything, for me, being around all the drinking and all that chaos and not drinking, it really makes me feel stronger. It makes me feel like a superpower, that I'm not dropping $10 for a Corona. I'm not spending $19 for a pack of Newport in New York. And but let me give you another quote because I get going, and then you forgot the last quote. But here's another one for you. I'm living my life now not my habits. I'm living my life now, not my habits. So live your life, my friends. Stay sober. God bless you. Yep, yep.